Hello and welcome to the program. It is so exciting to be here. This is Street TV Zambia, the television for the people, keeping you with sports news, entertainment, education and many more other entertaining programs on your fingertips. For quality, reliable and verified news, subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channels. Remember, there is no better place to be more than this one. We appreciate your support. Leaders are born, kings are made, men are called, but few are chosen. On the program tonight, we are continuing with our exciting journey of storytelling. We tell stories that matter most to tell. Street TV Zambia, we are a Zambian media organization providing corporate communications media solutions across the globe. We gather and tell stories about our world political leaders, civic leaders, religious leaders. We discuss and talk, creating television contents, local and international news documentaries. Our stories also includes business stories, agriculture stories, developmental and education stories. Fasten your seat belts as we are starting our program with a bit of minimal speed, but you don't need to worry. You are in safe hands. We will take you there safely. Enjoy the rest of our program. Well, let us now go straight into the details of our program. Tonight, we are looking at the life history of our fourth former Republican president of Zambia, Dr. RUPIAH BANDA. President Banda was born on 19th of February 1937. He was born in Michael Town, Gwanda area in southern Rhodesia, present time called Zimbabwe, way back before its independence. RUPIAH Banda's parents went into Zimbabwe from northern Rhodesia, present time called Zambia. They went there in search of green pastures, way back before RUPIAH Banda's birth. RUPIAH Banda grew up in Zimbabwe as a humble young man. Mr. Banda received his basic education in that country. Because of his parents' family ties with other families, RUPIAH Banda was sponsored by the local Dutch Reformed Church preacher, and he was also later sponsored by B.R. Naik, an Indian family of origin. This helped RUPIAH Banda to continue with his education into adulthood. After a while, RUPIAH Banda's parents came back home to Zambia after spending many years in the foreign land. They came back home to Zambia in 1954. President Banda was one of the highly educated former heads of state. He went to many different institutions of higher learning. Mr. Banda went to the University of Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. He studied also at Lund University in Sweden. He also went to Cambridge University in London. Mr. Banda was also one of the notable alumni of Lusangu University here in Zambia. Mr. Banda started his political career at a young age. During his youth, RUPIAH Banda became more actively involved in politics on the national level. In 1960, he joined the youth wing of the United National Independence Party, UNIP. As a young active politician, RUPIAH Banda was appointed by the ruling party's National Executive Committee as the United National Independence Party's representative in the Northern Europe in the early 1960s. Subsequently, in 1965, he was appointed as Zambia's ambassador to Egypt. He represented the nation with dignity. He was not a letdown to his country. During the time he stayed in Egypt, RUPIAH Banda met an Angolan political revolutionary military rebel leader, Jonas Savimbi. They discussed political issues that were affecting southern region of Africa and the entire continent of Africa. In their discussion, they stretched on discussing the political situation in Angola at that time. Eventually, President Banda and Savimbi, they developed a strong relationship. Then, RUPIAH Banda used his political influence to allow Jonas Savimbi to open up an office in Lusaka for their political operations. Jonas Savimbi was very happy with the development. In 1967, President Banda was appointed as an ambassador to the United States of America. He served as an ambassador to the United States of America for about 2 years. Later, he was recalled. He was returned to Zambia to come and serve as the chief executive of the Rural Development Corporation for about 2 years, and subsequently, he also served as the general manager of the National Agricultural Marketing Board for a similar length of time. In 1974, RUPIAH Banda was appointed as the permanent representative to the United Nations, and while in this position, he was also headed the UN Council for Namibia. In this position, he served for a period of 2 years at the UN. After that, he was appointed as a Foreign Affairs Cabinet Minister. RUPIAH BANDA served as a Minister of Foreign Affairs for a period of 1 year from 1975 to 1976. During this period, Mr. Banda was occupied by the task of attempting to negotiate a ceasefire in Angola. Mr. Banda was appointed to negotiate for peace because of his past vast experience in diplomatic mission positions he held. President Banda was a Zambian politician who served the country as the 4th elected Republican President of Zambia. President Banda held many positions during his lifetime as a politician. He once also served as a diplomat in Ethiopia. He also was appointed as an ambassador to Brazil before his appointment as a diplomat to South Africa. In 1978, Mr. Banda was elected as a member of parliament for Munari constituency. Unfortunately, he only served for 1 term in office. In 1983, Mr. Banda stood again to contest for his seat for Munari constituency for a 2nd time, but he lost the seat to Mr. Simeon Kampanta. In 1988 general elections, he stood again to return to his former seat for Munari constituency, but he lost. Then he petitioned the results to the courts of law. Fortunately, the court ruled in his favor, and thereafter he was appointed as a Minister of State for Mines. Mr. Banda was a non-prostitute, for he maintained his political membership for United National Independence Party UNIP for a period of 45 years. He was a trustworthy, seasoned and experienced politician. In 1991, Mr. Banda was defeated in the Munari constituency by the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD's candidate, Leonard Penza, although he initially intended to run again for the seat in 1996 election, but he couldn't because the United National Independence Party UNIP boycotted the elections. From there, Mr. Banda went to his farm to concentrate with farming. He was partially retired from active politics. Now, in 2006, after President Mwanawasa was re-elected into office, President Mwanawasa called and appointed Mr. Banda as his Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. Mr. Banda was appointed as a Vice President along with a new cabinet of the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD. Following his appointment, he subsequently joined the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD. This signified that Mr. Banda had remained as a member of the former ruling party, United National Independence Party, UNIP, before his appointment. Mr. Banda's appointment was widely viewed as a means of rewarding Eastern Zambians for supporting the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, in the elections, as this was the first time that Easterners had done so. In 2007, prior to a planned summit of the Southern African and Development Community, SADC, in August, Mr. Banda was sent by President Mwanawasa to improve relations with neighboring Zimbabwe, following Mwanawasa's criticism of Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe. Mr. Banda was sent to Zimbabwe because of his knowledge he had as a former Foreign Affairs Minister as well as a former diplomat in foreign missions. Mr. Banda was well known for his good leadership as a diplomat. After a short while, President Mwanawasa suffered a stroke in June 2008. He did not make it. He died later on same year. Then, Mr. Banda became an acting president of the Republic of Zambia. He acted as a president until the national mourning was over. Immediately after the 90 days after the burial of President Mwanawasa, according to the Zambian constitution, the presidential by-elections were called, and President Banda filed an application to stand as the presidential candidate for the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD. On the same day, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, in Eastern Province released a statement in support of Mr. Banda's candidacy. This saw the revitalization of wako-ni-wako theory from Kumava. Mr. Banda was widely expected to win, and he received massive support. He got 47 votes against 11 for Nganduma Gande, the former finance minister. On this occasion, Mr. Banda promised to unite the party and the entire nation. He promised to continue implementing projects that was left by President Mwanawasa. At that time, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD members, majority youths, were so violent. The former Lusaka province minister, Mr. Bowman Lusambo, was the National Youth Chairman. He was also a die-hard for the party. Election day came, and the initial results showed that Mr. Banda's main challenger, President Michael Sata of the Patriotic Front (PF), was leading, but as votes continued coming from the rural areas, the like of Shangombo, where the results was thought to be manipulated by the ruling party, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy (MMD), Mr. Banda steadily crossed the gap and ultimately overtook Sata. Final results was announced on 2nd of November 2008, showed that President Banda had won elections, but he narrowly won with 40% of the total votes against 38% for President Michael Sata of Patriotic Front. Mr. Banda was sworn in as the 4th Republican President of Zambia, same day at the State House. Mr. Banda used this occasion calling national unity, but the PF alleged fraud and refused to recognize Mr. Banda's victory, while Sata's supporters rioted in Lusaka and Kitwe. Now, in mid-2009, it was announced that the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy (MMD's) National Executive Committee had chosen Mr. Banda as their party's candidates for 2011 presidential general elections. That decision was not well received by other members of the same party. Some criticized this decision, arguing that the nomination process should have been left open to the other candidates. Mpombo, the defense minister then, resigned from his post in July 2009, while criticizing the process as undemocratic. On 24th of June 2009, President Banda held a press briefing at the State House, addressing the media under the trees in an open area, where a monk came and urinated on Mr. Banda. Funny enough, the president forgot to speak English. He used the local language to describe what happened. He said, "Ha, kanitundira," meaning it has urinated on me. This incident made news headlines across the country. It was a fun moment that made everyone who was in attendance to laugh. Mr. Banda was a jovial and ever-smiling man. He was also a welcoming president. He was a man for the people, and many people across the country loved him. Mr. Banda was the president for all Zambians, as he was called. Now, Mr. Banda tried hard to unite the nation, also to organize the party. He tried hard to improve the general livelihood of the majority common Zambians. Mr. Banda had forecast his economic development. He traveled frequently abroad to promote Zambia's trade to other world leaders. He tried what he could in his powers as the president, trying to convince the international investors to come and invest in Zambia. In December 2010, President Banda traveled to Egypt to meet with President Mubarak Hussein. President Banda continued receiving criticism from the main opposition political party's leader, President Michael Sata. Mr. Sata criticized President Banda of spending too much money on his foreign trips, leaving his country in many problems, issues like no medicine in hospitals, poor education infrastructure, among other things. In his policies trying to improve the Zambian economy, President Banda one time went on to print more money for the country. However, Mr. Banda never followed what he promised the people of Zambia. The promise he made to continue with the projects that was left by President Mwanawasa. Fighting corruption was one of the projects Mwanawasa left. However, Mr. Banda started dismantling much of the anti-corruption efforts that was put in place by his predecessor, President Left Patrick Mwanawasa. The main opposition political party leaders and others criticized Mr. Banda for his decision. Others criticized him because his decisions were not in the interest of protecting the natural resources for the nation. President Michael Chilufya Sata criticized Mr. Banda of being corrupt in many occasions. Now, in 2011 presidential general elections, Mr. Banda had campaigned heavily. He even broke the Zambian Guinness record for printing too much campaign materials for himself and the party. Many trees were dressed with bruchitenges, t-shirts, caps, flags written RB. Pens and other small materials were also used for the campaigns. Across the country, people saw massive constructions of roads in the compounds. Because of that development, there was jubilation for everyone. People rejoiced. People were just shouting, "Chwela, Chwela, 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 RB for president, vote for RB." When elections came in 2011, Mr. Banda was voted out. He lost the elections. He was defeated by his rival, President Michael Chilufya-Sata of Patriotic Front. President Banda could not believe it. His eyes and ears did not believe what he saw and heard, that he had lost his presidential power. He was so much afraid of his rival. Those who were close to Mr. Banda speculated that there was tears and fear in State House. There was sobbing, the pain engulfed Mr. Banda, fearing to be prosecuted of corruption charges. Mr. Banda hesitated to accept the defeat, but later he came to accept the defeat for the sake of peace for the nation. That is how the former ruling party, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy (MMD), lost its power and died, ending its 20 years in power. After some time later, the issue started following Mr. Banda. Patriotic Front government pushed for the removal of Mr. Banda's presidential immunity. Through Parliament, on 15th of March 2013, Mr. Banda's presidential immunity was removed. He became the second former head of state in Zambia to have lost his presidential immunity. At one time, the former head of state was very furious with the allegations, and he replied in the local language to those who were accusing him, and I quote, "Lyonse munena kuti, ninadya ndarama ya ziko, nanga ninadya ndarama ya nyoko." Meaning, you always say, I have eaten money for the nation. Is it your mother's money? This brought laughter among the locals who knows the language very well. Until now, this quote is still trending in our streets. Mr. Banda was accused by the president of the Patriotic Front, Mr. Michael Chilufya-Sata. Mr. Sata criticized and accused him of corruption, mismanagement of all deals to the international foreign companies. After some court battles, delay tactics, later on, Mr. Banda, he was acquitted of his charges and he became a free man. In his lifetime, Mr. Banda had his former first wife, Hope Mansa. Together, they had 3 sons. Hope Mansa died in South Africa at the age of 61. She was later buried in Lusaka, Leopard's Hill Memorial Park. Later on, Mr. Banda got married again to his second wife, Tandwe Banda. They remained married up to the time of his death. Together, they had 3 children. RUPIAH Banda died on 11th of March 2022 at the age of 85. He died at his home in Lusaka. After his death, the Zambian government accorded him 7 days of the national mourning with flags flying half-mast. Our neighboring country Namibia also accorded him 3 days of the national mourning in that country in his honor. President RUPIAH Banda was a Zambian distinguished seasoned politician who should be emulated by many young Zambians who desire to save the nation now and in the near future. President Banda shall always be remembered for his timely dedication and contribution he did to save the nation. He did what he thought it was right to do for the nation and for the people of Zambia. He shall always remain as a hero, for he knew how to unite and bring peace together. Before his death, President Banda mediated and brought together then the incumbent President Edgar Chagwa and the President-elect then President Hakainde Hichilema. These memories, they are still fresh in our minds. After his death, he was later buried at Memorial Embassy Park, the presidential burial site in Lusaka. President Banda was the son of the soil. Till we meet again on the other side, bye for now. Moria Abishai, Street TV Zambia.